You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm a-gonna blow you to smithereens.
You do that and I'll kill you.
Alrighty, metalheads out there and horror fans. Welcome to another show of the Bullshitting with Bob show, right here on Brutiful Metal Radio. Tonight, we have live via Skype, author, horror writer, and all-around miscreant, Ray Garton. Thank you for coming to the show, Ray. We sure appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, how are things, man? I mean, you know, are your books taking off?
Yeah, they're selling. I think the internet has been a great way to let people know I'm here, and I'm also amazed by the number of people who already knew I was here. So yeah, the books are selling.
Man, that is good news. I know we received a couple, and I read Scissors, and dude, very twisted.
Snick, snick, snick.
Yep, snippety, snippety.
Yeah, snick, snick, snick.
I love your style of writing, and
Thank you.
You take it from a different standpoint, and anyone out there in listener land, you guys out there in the chat room, I know Deanna has plenty of links she's going to be throwing at you shortly, maybe even now, I'm not sure. Let me open the chat room up and see. But definitely check out Ray. The guy is awesome.
Perverse.
Perverse. Yeah, very twisted. Is my kind of material.
Well, perverse in the sexual fashion.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what we like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of sex in my stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 50 Shades of Grey meets Friday the 13th. Now, Ray, what brought you into writing? What were some of the authors that really, you know, turned you on, say, as a child or in your formative years that made you want to become an author?
Well, the first one was probably Richard Matheson. He's kind of considered the grandfather of the genre, and he was the one who made me realize that horror was something you could do for a living. And then Stephen King came along, and he added a lot of realism to it that it had never had before. There were people in his books that I recognized, people I knew. They were like the people in my life, and those two guys really made me want to write that stuff. But before I became really enamored of the horror genre, I wanted to be a comedy writer. And all my writing heroes were people like Mel Brooks and Neil Simon, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to be Robert Petrie when I grew up. You know,
wow.
Dick Van Dyke and the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Wow.
But I ended up writing
horror.
horror. And it's not that different from comedy. They both rely on the element of surprise and shock, and they also rely on the suffering of others.
Yeah. I think sometimes you kind of mix them well, though.
I have to agree with that.
I think there should be some laughs in horror because it gives you a break from the. If it's too intense, it can be exhausting.
Yes.
Well, you know, even Stephen King added quite a bit of humor in his writing, and
Oh yeah.
I have to agree with you. I really got into Stephen King probably like 12, 13 years old, and of course I saw some of the movies first, which drew me into the books, and you know that's when I realized that movies will never touch what a book can give you, because there's so much they're missing out. How they flesh out the character, different nuances that they're going to have to leave out because of time issues.
Yeah,
But
there's no way you can get a whole book into a single movie. And
now, I will give Peter Jackson credit. He really did a great job with Lord of the Rings on that aspect. He did cut quite a bit out, but he got as much as he could in there, and it was very, very detailed.
Well,
But-
now he's turning The Hobbit into 3 movies, which means he's going to have to make up some stuff.
Oh wow, I thought they were going to do 2 movies at first.
Yeah, now it's 3.
Oh wow.
I
And
can't
that's
wait
the
to see
shortest
him.
book of those books, of the Middle Earth books. It's
You-
the shortest one, and they're making it into 3 movies.
The thing that really got me, I was worried about how he was going to do it. Honestly, 'cause I didn't even know I was going to watch it because I'm such a fan of Tolkien. You know, I love science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Those, you know, I love just being able to open a book and taking me to somewhere else. And how exact he got Bilbo Baggins' home.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean,
Everything looked perfect.
you looked at the mantle, and everything in the book was there.
Mhm.
Every little nuance was there. And I hope he captures that. I'm sure he will in The Hobbit. I'm just curious to see how it's going to come out, especially in 3 movies. I mean, I don't know.
I'm especially interested to see Smaug.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Dragon. That will be fun.
Yeah.
But going back to Stephen King, you know, I have to agree with you. There was people in those books that I could relate to as well. You know, I mean, he goes into detail talking about bed farts and,
well, he's the king.
you know.
The king of the detail. I mean, he would just down to lines on the face, you know.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Even the characters like pet peeves and little idiosyncrasies and fears. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he was a master at grabbing that.
And he's
was.
also gave rave reviews. Stephen King.
That is
has.
true.
Make no mistake for you.
Stephen King is a
listeners.
fan of yours, right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's huge.
And Dean Koontz.
Really.
Yes.
I love Dean Koontz, too.
So.
This doesn't sound like much of a compliment, but Stephen King is better than anybody at writing morons.
Yes.
I mean, he's got characters in his books who are just complete idiots. And he manages to make them complete idiots, but at the same time give them some humanity. And I really like that about him.
Every time I've read Stephen King, I always wondered the childhood he had because he had to draw on something to get these people. He had to know someone like this or a few people that he combined into the character,
Oh, yeah.
you know, growing up. And, you know, everything he does takes place up around Bangor, Maine, up, you know, north in the Northeast,
Mhm.
where he's from. And he's had to know these people. He's had to.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the case with every writer. We all draw on people we've known or people we still know. And some people even go so far as to not disguising them very well.
but that makes it more believable, actually.
Oh, yeah.
It makes the character a lot more human
Yeah.
and reachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that about King's work. Another of my favorites is Peter Straub. In fact, right now I'm rereading Shadowland, his novel Shadowland,
Oh,
and
right on.
I love his work. And he did a book with Stephen King called The Talisman. I don't know if you've read that. If you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It's
I have.
a combination of horror and fantasy, and it's a great novel.
One of my favorite Stephen King's, by the way, was The Eyes of the Dragon,
Oh yeah,
which
yeah.
was not horror at all. It was more like princess and kings and queens, and
Yeah.
you know, and it's a great read.
I did read The Talisman, and it's been a while back. I don't really have the time to read as much as I would like these days. But
I wish somebody would make that into a movie.
So Ray,
I know, right?
Tell us about
Yeah.
this. Can you tell us, excuse me, about this one that you're finishing with the iguana?
Oh, yeah, I'm finishing up a short story called Lizard Man Dispatches. And it's about a guy whose iguana starts talking to him and making predictions that come true.
I gotta read that one.
Oh, definitely.
This one's for an anthology, and I don't know when it'll be coming out, but
Keep us
I should
posted.
finish that up this weekend.
Keep us posted on that. I'd really like to get that one.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Facebook and Twitter. It allows me to keep everybody posted on everything,
Oh, yeah.
whether they want to know or not.
Now, listeners out there, you can find Ray's books at, you know, Books A Million, Barnes & Nobles. In fact, we went to Barnes & Nobles.
No, No. Ray, don't you sell yours all through ebooks and?
Yeah,
And-
right now the only books that I'm making royalties on at the moment are they're actually in print are from e-reads, and they're available as paperbacks and as ebooks.
I thought we had
But
found.
they don't have them in stores because it's a print-on-demand publisher.
I actually found a first edition of Sex and Violence in Hollywood online, hardback.
Oh, really?
And that's the one that you signed for me.
That's right. Yes, I did. That's my favorite of all my
You know,
work.
but yeah, you can't go buy that right now, anywhere.
You can't find it in a store, but
No.
you can order the paperback through your local bookstore, or you can order it online.
Yeah, Amazon carries a lot of these things if you're looking for them.
For some reason, I thought you bought that one
No.
at Barnes and Nobles.
No, that was that Fool book
Oh, okay.
by
Well,
Christopher Moore.
I've been corrected.
Yeah.
I could have sworn you bought
Yeah,
it
they're
there.
available for Nook and Kindle and in a whole bunch of other ebook formats at fictionwise.com, and also the paperbacks are available.
Now, Ray and I have already talked about this. I personally like a real book. I like the way it smells when I read it.
Oh yeah.
I want to touch it. I want to look at the cover. I want to covet my book.
And on the same note, you know, me and you've gotten into this quite a few times and discussed it. You can ask Buffy, Ray. I am an extreme bookaholic.
Yeah.
How many books would you say that are? Let me put it in simpler terms. How many pounds of books would you say I have?
10,000.
I have footlockers upon footlockers, and we're talking hardcover, paperback, just tons of books, all kinds of subjects. Like I said, science fiction, fantasy, horror.
So, look, wait a minute. Let me
lot of
pose a
nonfiction.
question to you, Ray. What do you think about the schools starting to use these Kindles to teach the kids?
I don't have anything against them at all. In fact, I think people who didn't read so much before are reading more now because of the convenience of carrying a Kindle around and having. I mean, there are so many books you've got at your fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. I don't have one yet. I'll break down and get one eventually, but I'm still doing it the old-fashioned way. I still have books.
Yeah, I do too, and maybe one day I'll break down.
But going back though, I much prefer myself having a book.
I do too.
I like having the book. I like having the bookmark. I like being able to read chapter to chapter. However, on the other side of the coin, I think a Kindle or any of the equipment like that is a great tool because a lot of people get bored with a book and they're so similar to like an iPad or their iPhone. You know, all this new techno gadgets coming out.
Right.
It's easy for them and probably would make them read more often. So I think it's a great tool, and those people that are normally non-readers may start reading more, which is a great thing.
Yeah, and also I know a lot of people who use audiobooks.
Yes, those are very cool. But I think a Kindle, going back to the Kindle, inside one Kindle is 1 million books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're carrying a bookstore around with you.
Right. And magazines, I think you get on there, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate magazines.
Well, I do too.
It's
But
nothing but ads.
but for those who read them, they have just...
Yeah, I'm sure you can get newspapers on
A
there too, or any
cornucopia.
kind of written media.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can get on a Kindle or the other types.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of audiobooks, all of my e-reads books are going to be available as audiobooks very soon.
Oh.
Probably the beginning of next year.
Oh.
And I will announce that. But right now, the only book I have that's on audio is Lot Lizards. That's my traveling truck stop vampire hooker novel.
Right on.
Tell us about it, right?
Yeah. Fill us in a little bit about the lot lizards.
For those who don't know, a lot lizard is a prostitute who works truck stops and provides a much-needed service for truckers who are parked for the night. And my wife Dawn, I met her in a truck stop. She was not a hooker. She worked in the gift shop, and it was a truck stop that I went into. I was living with my parents at the time. I'd had to move back in with them, which was not an ideal situation. And late at night, I would go over to the 76 truck stop here in Reading and sit at the coffee counter late into the night writing. And she worked the gift shop, and that's how we met. And that's where I wrote Lot Lizard, sitting at that coffee counter.
That's very
That is very cool. So you're in Reading, which is very near my town.
Which is that? What town is that?
See, my last name is Weaver.
Oh, Weaverville.
Weaverville.
Oh, yeah.
I have a friend.
Yeah,
I have a friend of mine that I was stationed with in the Army, and he's actually from Reading. And he went home on leave one time and brought me back a Weaverville shirt. So I have my own town.
Yeah, we also have a town near here called Weed.
That's my town. I actually spent a lot of my youth in San Jose and San Francisco.
Oh, I love the Bay Area.
Oh, man. It's
I
beautiful.
spent a lot of time there. I used to live in the Napa Valley for a while.
Oh, that's cool. You ever ate at A. Sabella's on the wharf out there?
Pardon me?
A. Sabella's, the restaurant on Fisherman's.
Oh, yeah.
I love that place. Oh.
Yeah. I loved, this is, a lot of people think I'm weird for this, but one of my favorite places to go used to be Fisherman's Wharf and Pier 39.
Yeah, mine too.
They're huge tourist attractions.
And to drive across to Sausalito was also very cool.
Oh, yeah, Sausalito is beautiful.
There's none other like Sausalito.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And I love the schooners out there that you can go do the tours on.
I'm not a water person.
Oh, well, they're docked right there. They never go in the water, but, they're very cool.
So they don't set sail. It's more like you can just go and tour them.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Sort of like how the Queen Mary just sits there, but you can get on it,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the schooners were always a lot of fun. Always.
There's a great bookstore in San Francisco called Borderlands, and it specializes in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And they have new and used books. It's in the Mission District. It's on Valencia. And this is the first year in quite a while that I haven't done a signing there. I usually do a signing every year, but it hasn't worked out this year. But if anybody who's in the Bay Area who hasn't been there, I recommend it.
Oh yeah, it's enchanted there.
Well,
Even Chinatown
one day we'll visit that.
and Monterey Bay Aquarium. It's a must.
Oh, yeah.
It's a must see if nobody's ever seen it. Do that.
I haven't been there in ages, since I was a kid.
And the otters, how they have them right on the ocean.
Yes.
Oh, they're so cute too. Let me tell you.
Now, Ray, how many books have you authored so far?
I think it's 62.
Wow.
And that's novels, novellas, short story collections. I have 7 or 8 short story collections. And movie novelizations and TV tie-ins. I've done a lot of TV stuff. I've done Sabrina the Teenage Witch, a few of those, and The Secret World of Alex Mack.
Oh, right on.
I did a Buffy the Vampire Slayer novel, Resurrecting Ravana. And I did the novelization of the movie Good Burger.
Wow,
Really?
Yeah.
that was a great movie.
I know.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
That is awesome.
And I also wrote the novelizations of the movies Warlock, and I did 2 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I think it was 4 and 5, and they were in one book.
Kick ass.
And
Wow.
the remake of Invaders from Mars,
Really?
a teenage comedy called Can't Hardly Wait.
Now, you're going to kick my ass because I did read the novelization of The Warlock.
Wow.
Warlock.
you did?
I did. I read that. I did not realize that you were the one that wrote that.
Wow.
And I'm going to kick my own ass later. But, yeah.
I think I've read a lot of his stuff through like the compilation kind of books.
I miss doing novelizations. They were a lot of fun, and I know that there's supposed to be something that writers are supposed to be kind of ashamed of doing them because it's really just for money. But they're great writing exercises. You know, they hand you a script and you adapt it into a novel. It's fast, it's fun, and you get to be the director because you're calling all the shots when you adapt it from the script into a novel. So that's the closest I'll ever get to come to being a director.
That's cool, though.
That's very cool. Like I said, I did not realize when I read that, but
So,
it was a great novelization.
tell us a little more
Thank you.
about sex and violence in Hollywood and the whole Kraft macaroni and...
Sex and Violence it's not a horror novel, and when it was published by Subterranean Dance, I just combined Cemetery Dance and Subterranean Press. Subterranean Press published it in 2001. It made the rounds at the New York publishers, and they all loved it. They just said wonderful things about it, but it confused them because they didn't know how to market it. It's not exactly a thriller. It's kind of a comedy. It has elements of horror in it, although it's not a horror novel. They didn't know what to call it or how to pigeonhole it, and so they all ultimately turned it down, even though they praised the book up and down.
Wow.
And Subterranean published it in 2001, and nobody bought it. I guess people were just too accustomed to me writing horror, and when they saw that this wasn't a horror novel, they just didn't seem interested in it. But over the years, it's gotten a lot more attention, and now it's available as a mass market paperback and ebook. So it's reaching more people, and it's gotten some wonderful responses from readers. But it gave me a chance. I'm passionate about movies, and it gave me a chance to write about movies. And also, it's a legal thriller too. It has the last third of the book is a big, high-profile celebrity trial, not unlike the OJ trial, and it was probably the most enjoyable writing experience I ever had. When I sat down to write, all I knew was that I wanted to write about movies, something set in Hollywood in the movie business, and I had a character in mind who hated his father and wanted to kill him. And that's all I knew going in, and I was making it up as I went along. It flowed out of me so smoothly, and that's why it's my favorite book, because it was so much fun to write.
I am the proud owner of a bitchin' hardback in primo condition of that.
That was a big book. I mean,
Yeah.
the hardcover, that's a...
And it's even signed by Ray for me.
I'm gonna have to read that one next.
You're not breaking my binding.
You know, I treat books with the utmost irreverence.
I'm just razzing you, babe.
Sometimes people want to borrow one of my books, and I am so anal about them. I do not want you twisting them. You
I'm the same
open
way.
it. You do not bend the end. I do not want to see creases in the binding.
Yeah, I don't want the spine cracked if it's a paperback.
No.
Exactly.
I don't loan books to anybody.
I
Never,
don't either.
Period.
I don't either.
I don't want the pages flipped over for a bookmark. You put a piece of paper in there or something and mark it.
Yeah, no dog ears.
Yeah. Don't do any of that.
People often tell me, you know that book you signed for me? I loaned it to a friend and they never gave it back.
Of course
You
not.
loaned a book that was signed to you?
Yeah. Of course they didn't give it back.
Oh, and that's right. Vixen, Deanna just posted up that she has the paperback scissors that you autographed.
Ah, yeah. That's the Leisure paperback, I think.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, the Leisure edition.
But yes, I'm going to read that book, honey. You can just deal with it. Or sleep
It's so
on the
big,
porch.
it's hard to read in
Or
bed.
sleep on the porch.
I'll
I sleep out there often, Ray.
I'll make you a nice comfy mat out there. It'll be okay.
Just don't crack the binding.
All the cats will sleep with you, so you'll be warm.
Okay.
For all the listeners out there, we were talking before we became live that the amount of animals we have here. It's like Wild Kingdom. We have four dogs, 2 small, 2 large, 3 indoor cats and like 7 or so abandoned cats that live outside that that Buffy feeds. So yeah, when I put her out on the porch to sleep at night, which is very often, I try to, I like having the whole bed to myself. Just putting that out there for posterity. But you'll be warm, honey. It'll be okay. Now
we have 5 cats. We're down from 11. We used to have 11.
Oh wow! But yeah, all these cats out here. When we first moved here last year, I mean, they were thin. They were near feral. Some near death. A lot of them were sick, had sores.
Oh.
Some acted like they were abused. And when we go to the store to buy, food, of course I buy the large bags of dog food, and I buy an equally large bag of cat food. And the cats are fed very well. They're all getting fat now. They I don't know, they don't act abused anymore. You can pet all of them. They don't, try to run away. They're not skittish.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing.
And the sick ones, I medicate them, and I've done very well.
Oh yes,
they're
all of them.
now.
All of them are. If they're not healthy, they're really close to being healthy.
Yeah.
And they're happy.
Very happy. Oh, they meow all the time. They'll sing to us outside. It's awesome.
You can't beat that.
It's like a chorus line, but feline style. Now, I wanted to ask you, Ray, take us through the writing process, from initial thought, your initial idea. How does a story develop, and how do you translate that over into words?
Well, it's different with every single book.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll start with a very detailed idea. I have a beginning, middle, and end in mind. Other times I'll have just one character in mind or a vague idea of of what I want to do in the story. Everyone is different, and it's always a new experience. That's one of the things I love about writing. No 2 books are alike, and some are more problematic than others. Then there are those like Sex and Violence in Hollywood that are just a joy to write, that go smoothly, no hitches. Some require more research than others, and I prefer the ones where I can just make everything up, because then I don't have to worry about getting something right.
I gotcha.
And I don't have any set writing process or schedule. It just depends on each individual book.
Well, winging it is such a great plan, because when you plan something, it will never come out.
No, I can't follow an outline. I can't outline books, because if I sit down and write a complete outline of a book, it's not very good, because I can't plot or do anything unless I'm actually writing the book. I can't do it in advance. I can't do it in some other form. It's done while I'm writing. If I outline a book, by the time I'm done with the outline, I feel like I've already written the book.
Right.
And I want to move on to the next project.
Right.
And I can never stick to an outline, because once I start writing, the characters do their own things. There are always unexpected things, surprises that I didn't see coming, that will change the whole direction of a book, which is my favorite thing in the world. When I think I'm writing one thing, and then I discover, oh no, I'm writing something else. And so it's hard to when people ask me about my writing process, or ask for advice on the writing process, I have no idea what to say, because I never know what it's going to be like from one book to the next.
Tell them to wing it, man.
Basically just do it and see how it comes out.
Yeah, and also if you're writing, and if you think that there's one particular way that you should be doing it, that's not the case at all.
Right.
And if somebody tells you that there's one particular way that you're supposed to be doing it, don't listen to that person. You can dismiss what that person says.
Yeah, do it your own
whatever
way.
works for you.
Right.
That's pretty cool the way you explain that, because it's the same. I'm a musician, and I write a lot of lyrics.
It's still an art form.
And well, yes, it is an art form. Of course, everything you kind of want it to rhyme, so it makes sense. But it always evolves. What you may have starting off as an idea, when I start writing it down, You know, the idea I put down may take me to a different place. It'll evolve,
And
and
turn into something else.
exactly. And then you still have to have continuity in the lyric as well.
Oh, sure. But if the best, I think some of the best writing I've ever done has been writing that I didn't see coming. It's been unexpected stuff that I've discovered as I've been writing as I go along. The only way I can write is if the whole thing unfolds while I'm doing it. Planning, it's a chaotic process, and any attempt at planning or controlling it just messes it up for me.
Yeah, because you won't exactly follow that plan anyway.
Right.
Or it'll become too bland or watered down, trying to stay within the confines of what you originally came up with.
Yeah.
It's best to let it evolve and grow.
Yeah. Right now I have a publisher interested in doing something with me, and they've asked me to, I've turned in an outline for a trilogy, which was, oh God, it's a horrible, I hate outlining with a passion. But I did the best I could. They weren't interested in that. Now they want a horror novel, and I'm trying to sell them the idea of my follow-up to, it's a novel that involves the vampires from Live Girls and Nightlife and the werewolves from Ravenous and Bestial.
Oh.
And some characters from those books. But it's a standalone book. It's not a continuation. You don't have to have read those 4 books to read this one.
Gotcha.
Now,
so that's what I'm working on right now.
On that note, whenever you write a series, is it hard to maintain continuity from one book to the next? Do you have to go back and research what you've already written and say, okay, well, this is going to work in this next one?
Yeah, I do. I have to, if it's something that, if a good deal of time has passed, I have to go back and read the initial book and reacquaint myself with the characters. There was a time when I vowed I would never write a sequel, because I've never cared for sequels much. And I've always thought that most sequels tend to be just a repeat of what worked before, and I don't like that. So I finally, about 15 or more years after writing Live Girls, I wrote the sequel, Nightlife. And I had to go back and reread the book and get to know the people again. When I wrote the sequel to Bestial, it's a very different kind of book than Ravenous, even though it involves some of the same people. It's set in the same place. It has, I think, more humor in it than Ravenous, and it feels different. And that's the way I like sequels to work. I like them to be a continuation, but with a different flavor to them.
Exactly. I always wondered that. Again, I'm not, I'm not a novelist. I don't write on a large scale. I write on a small scale. Mm-hmm. But I always wondered,
which is often harder than writing on a large scale. Believe me.
Yeah, because you're writing. Well, whenever I write music, I always try to write a long song. I think the shortest ones I wrote are like 4.5, 5 minutes. A lot of them usually about 7 minutes, and it's hard to tell a whole story or to get a complete thought that you want to flesh out within that small amount of time.
Yeah. I prefer novels. I'm much more comfortable writing a novel than a short story. I'm always nervous about short stories because I don't like the shorter length. I just don't I don't like being confined to a particular length, and I'm much more insecure about my short stories than my novels. But I'm surprised by how many I've written. When I look back over the number of stories I've got, it always surprises me. But I guess I'm long-winded. I prefer books.
I've always liked the longer books. One of my favorites, again going back to Stephen King, was The Stand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at it, before I even read it, or I read the liners on it, and I was like, holy shit, this book is like it's like an encyclopedia, a whole encyclopedia.
Yeah.
And
that's before they released the unedited version.
and I tell you, well, once I got into it, I couldn't put it down, and I really loved how detailed it got. I mean, the longer the book, the more detail, the more you are able to get into the minds of the characters that you're reading about. The more the landscape is explained, it just gives you everything. It allows for the theater of the mind to take over.
Yeah, it creates a whole world. I recently read Under the Dome, and aside from throwing my back out, I don't think it's one of his best books, but damn, I couldn't put it down, and I'm amazed by how fast I flew through it, even though it's so huge. It's the size of a credenza.
Oh, and going back to the Talisman, this will be a nice little snippet for you, honey. Remember the band that me and Lance used to have? Me, Lance, and Will, and Jason Ogle, called Talisman. That's where we got the name from. Oh. We all read the book. I had the copy. We passed it around, and we're like, "Hey, this would be a great band name."
Well, Anthrax.
Now, we're talking late '80s, so
Anthrax did a whole CD on
the Talisman. Yeah.
No, it wasn't the Talisman. Among the Living.
Well, yeah. Well, that was actually just the one song.
But the whole book it had the Walking Dude. And what was that?
I mean, yeah.
There's a metal band in Spain called Crucifix. They named themselves after my novel Crucifix.
I remember when they did
That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, they took that whole huge encyclopedia of a book and combined it down into like a 5.5-minute song.
Wow.
I thought the whole CD was about that.
No. They had I Am the Law, about Judge Dredd and Caught in a Mosh and what was that one? Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't just about that. The album name was Among the Living, but they just had that one song.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of
soundtrack
songs,
to the novel Live Girls, done by Scott Lichna, that came out back in the 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When Cemetery Dance released the hardcover edition, limited edition of Live Girls, it came with that CD designed to be listened to while you're reading the book.
How awesome is that?
Oh, and you had mentioned, I believe, that some lucky listener tonight could receive an autographed copy
of Nightlife.
Hardback edition.
Yeah.
So those of you out there listening,
pay attention. And
we'll name someone toward the end.
Yeah, that's the version that came out from. I think that was it was either Subterranean or Cemetery Dance. I've already screwed both of those names up tonight once. But, that came out in 2005. That was the first edition of Nightlife, and then it was published in paperback by Leisure.
Awesome. So it's going to be a first edition also.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, there you go. Autographed first edition, people.
It's a limited edition, actually.
Oh.
Oh, we got Nick in there. Says he's got the paperback. He's got Live Girls too. And he also said that would make a couple of great movies.
Oh boy. Live Girls has been optioned for the movies many times over the years. But still, there's no movie. There was some crazy ideas as to how to adapt it. One guy wanted to turn it into a rap hip-hop musical.
No.
Another guy wanted to set it in a Blade Runner-like future. And my favorite, though, was the guy who wanted to turn it into a Brat Pack reunion and have the cast made up of people like Molly Ringwald and Judd Nelson.
Wow.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It would be like the Breakfast Club horror.
Right.
Well, Breakfast Club was a horror.
It'd be the Cannibal Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of a nightmare John Hughes.
Well, it'd be zombie now because, I mean, he passed away.
Yeah.
So, back from the undead.
Yes.
don't know. I like the idea.
Oh, so many ideas can flow.
I know.
Now, I want to throw a few links out that Vix has been posting up for me. Anyone out there that's in the chat room or out there in listener land, we do have several listeners that aren't in the chat room. You can find Ray at www.raygartononline.com. That's his main website. You go to twitter.com/Ray Garton. Of course, Facebook /Ray Garton. ereads.com/ECMS /author name /Ray Garton. Amazon.com, it's a long one. Just go to Amazon and type in Ray Garton and you will find them. Let's see. And I think that's it.
Yeah, because she doubled up the Amazon.
Yeah, she doubled up the Amazon, but
she gave you the main page and the.
But she said that the address was so long she couldn't put the whole thing. So just go to Amazon.com, or in a worst case scenario, just go to Google.
Yeah.
Go to Google, type in Ray Garton. I guarantee you will find him. The dude is everywhere.
GART like Tom O-N. Garton.
Now, let's go ahead and take a little break, Ray.
Okay.
I'm going to slap us on some tunes. Let's see what we got in the mix here. How about some Steely Dan?
Sounds good.
This one? Okay. And pick another one. Pick another one. Come on, baby. This one?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to throw up 3 songs. We've got, actually 4 songs.
Yeah.
We've got Steely Dan, Do It Again. We've got Foreigner, Star Rider. We have the Eagles, Those Shoes. And the Hollies, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. So stick around, people. We'll be right back. We've got Ray Garton live right here on the Bullshitting with Bob show on Brutiful Metal Radio. Be back in just a few. Okay. We are back now. Sorry, we had a little technical glitch, but we are back. You're listening to the Bullshitting with Bob show right here on Brutiful Metal Radio. Starring Ray Garton via Skype live with us. Welcome back, Ray.
Thanks. Good to be here. I'm having fun.
And we do appreciate you being here. Now, I was going to ask you a question and it just slipped my damn mind. What was it going to be? You're supposed to be a mind reader.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm talking to Buffy.
I don't know. We were talking about a few questions while we were off there.
Oh, that's right. The chat room. The chat room. Let's see. Let me get back up here. We had a few questions. Cult of Personality said The Loveliest Dead is a great book, and he would like to know about Serpent Girl.
Serpent Girl. That's a novella. In fact, that's self-published. That's my first, my second dip into the self-publishing pool, and that's a novella that isn't really horror. I guess it could be called erotic noir, but it has elements of horror in it. I've heard from horror fans who've read it who really enjoyed it, and it's pretty dark, and it has lots and lots and lots of sex, because I wanted to see if I could develop a relationship and develop 2 characters mostly through sex, getting to know them through the way they relate to each other in bed. It's filthy.
Well, sex sells.
It does.
And sex is fun, and I believe everyone on the planet would agree with me that sex is much fun.
Yeah.
I think that that sex and horror are 2 naturals. I mean, they go together well, because the point of horror is to frighten and disturb, and the one thing that everybody has in common is sex, even the people who won't admit it. And I enjoy using sex to frighten and disturb, because it's one way you can get at just about everybody.
Well, every old horror movie, back in the day, always had boobies and sex, and then they got beheaded or whatever.
Well,
Or
I mean,
the slasher movies, the fucking die movies.
Yeah.
Friday
Well,
the 13th.
yeah, look at exactly. I was going to say Friday the 13th, especially the first couple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got the the camp counselors out there. They're getting high, they're drinking, they're having a good time, and getting naked, and they start banging each other, and here comes Jason with a spear through the back.
Yep.
Slap.
Well, what about Halloween? Because the guy was stuck under the bed watching his slut sister or listening or...
Oh, well, yeah.
It all starts with sex. I mean...
It does. And the only survivor is always the girl who kept her legs closed.
Yes.
And I've always found that annoying.
The chaste one, yeah.
I don't like the...
It's a flaw in the plot, isn't it?
Yeah.
She should have been the first to go.
There's a certain prudishness to those movies. In spite
If you
of all
don't
the
put out,
nudity.
you should die.
Yeah. So, Ray, tell us what is it that you do every night? This just in, or
the little known facts.
little known facts? Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us what your little known fact right now is.
Let's see. The one right now is little known fact of the day. You are highfalutin when your falutin count goes above 90.
I love reading those every day. I mean, it really brightens my day up.
Yeah.
Now, Cult of Personality that's in the chat room also wanted me to ask you how ebooks work. The print-on-demand aspect.
The what?
The print
on demand. Yeah.
Yes.
Print on demand is a kind of publishing that when you order a book, that book gets printed up for you. There's no stock of books waiting to be shipped out to people who order them. They aren't printed up until somebody orders them.
Oh.
That's why you don't find them in bookstores, because they're not printed and distributed. They aren't printed until you actually order it.
Now, I am the dumbass because I thought when you said ebooks, it meant it was on Kindle.
It is. Yeah, the paperback, all of my books through eReads are available as ebooks for Kindle or Nook and a bunch of other formats, or you can get paperback.
Okay.
But if you order the paperback, it's printed up for you when you order it and then sent to you.
I didn't even realize they would print it on demand.
That's really cool, too,
My
because
dumbass,
it's very eco-friendly. You're not wasting paper.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a pretty common method of publishing these days.
Wow, I did not realize that. Oh, I'm still of the old school
It's not the business I entered in 1984.
I was still thinking that they print, shitloads of books, send them out to Borders and Books A Million and what have you.
Yeah.
And Walden Books or whatever, and then what sells, and what doesn't sell usually goes to the second-hand books stores.
Or it gets sent back to the publisher.
Exactly. And
yeah,
thus destroyed.
They still do that. The New York publishers still do that, but these days the New York publishers are not the only game in town.
Yeah.
Now,
well, everything evolves,
Now, do you see a shift in the paradigm from the publishing houses more over to the ebook style of format?
Well, even the mainstream publishers, even the New York publishers are doing ebooks these days, and everything is available as an ebook, as far as I know. But the New York publishers are they're doing a lot of celebrity books like Snooki and
yeah.
Excuse me, I have to joke.
That's one of our cuss words here in the house.
Lindsay Lohan is writing a novel now.
Oh, I didn't know she was able to write.
She's not, but it'll have her name on it.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else will write it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Lindsay
imagine
get millions.
if she did, it would be more like a coloring book.
And that, but actually, it's not. I don't think it's her first novel. I think she wrote a YA novel with her mother,
Oh
Oh,
wow.
wow.
if I'm not mistaken. And because we all know that I don't know. If I had kids, I'd want them reading stuff written by Lindsay Lohan and her mother.
Oh, yeah, right? Oh, that gave me cancer.
Well, and Lauren Graham, the young woman from the Hills, she's written, I think, a couple of novels. And the publishers spend, enormous amounts of money on these celebrity books, and they've virtually gotten rid of the mid-list. And I've always been a mid-list writer, so it's harder to get published by New York publishers now, because if you're not a drug-addicted celebrity, they're not that interested.
It kind of gives you a window into society, that, and it's sad that these books will sell. They'll end up being bestsellers, and
Hmm.
you'll find them on every grocery aisle whenever you're checking out, and it's really a sad state. It
Yeah.
really is.
Don't get me started.
The intellectual level of the U.S. is really dropping because they're watching these TV shows. They're interested in these people that, to me, are very shallow, plastic, one-sided.
Oh my God! Reality television stars a bunch of people that I couldn't spend 10 minutes with without
Oh
blowing
no,
up.
I mean, me either. I mean, now. I must admit, I do watch some reality TV shows, but the ones I watch are like The Amazing Race.
Hmm.
I'll watch Survivor, and I think that's about the extent of it.
The only one I watch is Cheaters. Because
The,
I love seeing the woman beat up on the guy when she walks in on him with the girl. That's just my favorite part of the show.
well, when I do stay up late enough, I will watch that one too, because I do find it pretty funny. I love the look on their face when the guy's
When they
showing
get
them,
caught.
the host is showing them the video. Well, this is what we've seen him doing for the last week, and of
And
course,
they always deny it right up until that point. What? I don't know what you're talking about. You're making this all up. No, we got it here on video.
yeah, right. You are cold busted. Here you are. She gave you her panties at the dinner table.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, really?
There's going to be a new reality show after the first of the year called The Real Generals of the CIA.
And let me guess, Petraeus is going to host it.
He's going to host, yeah. He'll be looking for work, so.
Well, his man in the field will be Allen.
Pardon me?
His man in the field will be General Allen,
Oh, yeah.
his field reporter.
And of course, it will feature appearances by the shirtless FBI agent.
Yeah, right. Oh wow.
That sounds, I mean, that whole thing unfolding is like a reality TV show.
That whole aspect, I really think, is the government wagging the dog, so to speak, and trying to cover up the what happened with Benghazi, because they know that these generals can testify against them that they had the info and could have done something and didn't. That's my personal opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, I actually haven't followed the Benghazi story enough to I honestly don't know that much about it. There are too many things to follow these days. After the election, I'll be able to catch up. Now that the election's over, I'll be able to catch up on stuff.
Well, I mean, Petraeus, okay, well, let's take a little step back into history. Let's go back to Slick Willie, old Bill Clinton. Now, when the whole Whitewater scandal was going on, all of a sudden, he's having non-sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky in the Oral Office, and that was enough to take the short-minded societies, view away from what was going on with Whitewater and shifted over to this impeachment process because, Bill was having whatever, with Monica Lewinsky, and it took everybody's attention away from it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's kind of the same thing now with Petraeus and Allen. I mean, okay, they had some indiscretions. They did some things that weren't proper, but it didn't affect their job, for one. But it's getting people's mind off the real issue of Benghazi.
The president, fooling around, it's not quite the same thing as somebody in the CIA, which opens up all kinds of possibilities like blackmail and that's the only reason I can see it being a problem. Most of the time, I'm of the opinion that it's none of our business and it's not really that important. It doesn't really have any effect on their jobs, but it sure makes for entertaining trash TV.
Now, J.J. Foster in here, I agree with you. Red herrings. I do agree with you. Now, he also asked a question in here. He wanted to know, how can self-publishers get promoted and get into bookstores? Well, what kind of process would he have to go through in order for that to happen?
I have absolutely no idea. I've just started self-publishing, and promotion is the big problem because you don't have a publisher to, do any of that for you. So you're on your own, and it's a loud, crowded marketplace. Everybody's got to, as Grace Slick once said, everybody's trying to sell you their pants, and it's really hard to get anyone's attention. And if you are self-publishing your first novel, if you don't already have a body of work that people are aware of, that makes it even harder. It's not as easy as a lot of people want you to think it is. It's grueling. It takes a lot of promotion.
And Nick in here had made a comment about consignment, and that's actually a good idea.
What was the comment?
Well, Nick had kind of answered what JJ asked about, getting self-publishers getting promoted into bookstores.
Right.
He had made a comment about, maybe doing consignment.
I don't even know if that's an option. This is an area in which I'm terribly ignorant. I have no advice. Mostly because I'm just starting out in it myself and learning the ropes. I've been around long enough so that I'm used to just writing books, sending them to a publisher, and then by magic they're in bookstores. And it just doesn't work that way anymore.
No, Nick says it works. He says it sucks, but it works. And sometimes when I was in the military, we were trying to sell stuff. There was a consignment store on post, and you go in there with a price that you're looking for, and of course the consignment agent will tell you, okay, well, we can sell it for a little bit less than what you want, so we can make our money off of it too.
Right.
So that's kind of how it will work. Maybe you can get with a book chain, talk to their people. They got to have representatives, and ask them if you can do a consignment with them, that you'll put your book in and that you're looking for X amount, and there'll be a sale price, of course. Say your book's going to sell for $7. You can go in and say, okay, well, it cost me X amount to make it. I've got X amount of copies. I would like to sell the book for, say, $7 at the store. I can make $3.50, $4 off of it, and you make the rest. And that could possibly get you into stores.
Yeah. Yeah. This is an area that I just find very frustrating because I'm not a promoter. I'm not a publisher. I don't have a head for business. If I had a head for business, I wouldn't be a writer.
right?
Well, I think a lot of it is, and it's happening in the music business as well, is that everybody's trying to find their sea legs, as it were, with this new technology. Because, like,
Right.
even music, instead of selling albums now, they sell more singles, and they do sell them online. And, you know, the record companies and everybody's tripping out, and I'm sure it works the same way in the, you know, the writing industry. Everybody's trying to find their sea legs.
Nobody really knows what's going on yet.
Right.
Everybody's trying to adjust. It's a period of transition, and it's kind of chaotic right now.
Yeah, but it'll happen eventually.
Now, from the music side of things, I always ask the artists I speak to, you know, what their thoughts are on the music industry. Do they think that the major labels are going to die off? Because a lot of these bands coming up now, it's very DIY. I mean, you can have programs on the computer that are equal to what the major studios have. You can come out with quality sounding recordings at home. And with social network and the internet the way it is, you can self-promote. You can get yourself set up instead of going through a label. You can go through a distribution organization and have everything done digitally. Have your stuff put on iTunes, Amazon.com, music boxes, all these different avenues where you can sell your music without having to go through a label. And
That's true.
And I think the same thing may end up happening on the publishing side as well.
It's
already happening.
But the only thing that will save, you know, the major publishers as well as the major record labels is they have back catalogs.
Yeah.
They can always re-release, you know, what was bestsellers, and people will flock to it. So they always have their out. They can make their money.
Right. Yeah, if you're brand new and you're self-publishing, it's really hard to get the attention you need for it to be worth your while. And then there's the part of self-publishing that is, well, anybody can do it. You know, that means that all the people who insist they're writers but who aren't can publish their book.
Right.
I don't even go into my inbox anymore because it's mostly people asking me to do stuff for free, like, you know, critique their manuscript. I got a guy sent me his self-published novella, just out of the blue. I didn't know this guy. He sent it to me, and in the note that he included with it was that he wanted me to read it and give him a blurb. And he wrote, "I hope you're not one of those people who's hung up on things like grammar and punctuation and spelling, because I'm not." And
well, that's part of being a writer, is being able to utilize the English language that we have properly.
Well, Ray, don't feel like the Lone Ranger. We get asked a lot in our business for certain things as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everybody gets asked for free advice or free, you know, doctors, lawyers, everybody.
Right.
But yes, if you're going to write, know how to punctuate.
Know how to spell.
Know how to write.
Yeah, and read everything you can, and because when you read, you're learning how to write. You're looking at the way it's done, and I'm amazed by the number of people who read voraciously but don't indent paragraphs. I mean, aren't they paying attention to what's on the page when they read?
Yeah, you got to have a 500-page paragraph.
Well, spell check and all that makes it easy, I guess.
And then there are those. Another guy who approached me on Facebook said that he's a writer, and I asked him who he read, and he said, "Oh, I don't have time to read." Well,
oh wow,
you know, that's like saying I want to be an auto mechanic. Well, what kind of cars do you like? Oh, I don't like cars. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's like saying, well, I'm an artist. Well, what kind of paint do you use? Oh, I don't use paint. Okay, well, what kind of pencils do you use to sketch? Oh, I don't sketch. Well, what do you draw on? I don't draw on anything. Well, what kind of artist are you?
I'm a tattoo artist, but
I make pictures with my finger in the air.
I
yeah,
can't
come
imagine
on.
why one who doesn't read would even want to be a writer. Where do they get the idea of writing if they don't read? That's where mine came from. Was reading is it's what feeds the desire to write.
Well, you enjoyed the reading. I enjoy reading. I mean,
Oh, hell yes, I do too. And like I said earlier, I wish I could do it a lot more.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had that same complaint lately. I just haven't had as much time to read as I'd like.
Well, one of these days when I have the wife allow me to put a lamp on my side of the bed, I usually read like a chapter a night. Because sometimes, like you, I have insomnia. And I find if I read, a chapter, and it'll put me into a meditative state almost, relax me, slow my heartbeat down, and allow me to sleep.
Yeah.
Or fall asleep because you're thinking about what you just read, and you'll drift off.
Yep. And give you those really cool dreams of what you were reading.
Yeah. Indeed.
You could be a pirate
reading
swashbuckler one night, and you could be Luke Skywalker the next.
Exactly. I'm usually reading 2 or 3 things at the same time, depending on what room I'm in. I've got different books in different rooms, and I'm reading a short story collection by Shirley Jackson. I think it's called Just Another Day. And her stuff is wonderful. Everybody's familiar with her story, The Lottery, but I recommend anything you can find by her. She was a great writer.
Now,
and pardon me?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I keep a copy of Catch-22 beside the bed, which I read before, but I can pick it up and open it up to just about any chapter and read it and laugh my head off.
One of my favorite books of all time was Watership Down.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
And I love that because they had their own language, and you had to go to the glossary. By the time you got to the book, you were totally understanding it. But to me, that was just so creative.
And it was kind of like the same thing with me when I read Dune, the whole Dune series. Frank Herbert had his own
glossary,
wordology, I guess, and you had to go to the glossary and read about what this was and what that was, and the same thing with Anne McCaffrey and the Dragon Riders of Pern.
Oh, I loved that series.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dune was one of those books that I just
Dragon.
sort of became immersed in and forgot about my life. It was so involved.
Yeah, The White Dragon, that was a sad book.
Speaking of Dune, what did you think of the David Lynch's movie?
Actually, I liked it.
So did I. In
really,
fact, I think it's going to be more appreciated as time goes on.
I like the original, that came out, and I like the newer version that Sci-Fi did. I don't know if you saw that one.
I didn't see that one. I'd like to, but I didn't see that one. But the Lynch version, it's just an amazing movie. And
I didn't
I'd like
care
to
for
see,
the original.
He shot a lot of footage that was never used, and I'd like to see the whole thing, everything he shot.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the original.
Well, that's blasphemy. That's porch time for you.
That dude what floated around was gross.
He's the Harkonnen. That's Baron Harkonnen.
He was gross.
He was gross in the book, too. That was awesome. And I was very happy to see Sting die at the end.
I actually didn't care for it much when it first came out. I've come to love it more as time has gone on. I do that with a lot of movies.
I haven't seen it since then, so I can't say that maybe that would work for me.
Well, you know it's right down there in the CD collection, or the DVD collection.
But yeah, when I saw it when it was new, I was like blown away.
Another movie that did that for me was Kubrick's The Shining.
I love that.
Oh, yes.
That's one of my all-time favorite books, period. Horror novel, whatever. When I went to see the movie, I had just read the book again, and I hated the movie the first time I saw it because it's in the book. Torrance Jack Torrance is a really decent guy who's trying to get his shit together and repair his life and take care of his family, and he eventually decays. Once he gets in the hotel, he becomes the horrible person he becomes. in the movie, Jack Nicholson is scary the first time he's on screen.
Right?
You just know there's something wrong with this guy. There were a lot of things I didn't like about that movie, but I have come to love it just on its own. It's a great movie.
I think that's one of, Stephen King has a lot of movies made from his books.
Yeah.
And they always miss out quite a bit. They're not, they always have to change something to Hollywood it up and everything. And, condense it, edit it, for time. And that's one of the stories I felt was really close to the book.
Yeah.
There was a few things they missed out on, but it was one of the closer ones.
The Exorcist was
I wish more of them were faithful to the books or to the stories. Like there's a great short story in Night Shift about rats in a sub-basement.
Yes.
And it was, I can't remember the name of it now, it's escaping. Was it Graveyard Shift? The story called Graveyard
It was
Shift.
Graveyard Shift.
And it was made into a movie that just completely missed the point. I didn't like the movie at all. It's been ages since I've seen it, but I know I didn't like it at the time. I think one of the better ones is Carrie.
I have to agree with that one too. It was really close.
Yeah. Now there's another adaptation of Carrie coming soon, and I've seen the trailer. It looks interesting.
I don't know. I have an issue with all these remakes.
Well, yeah.
Where's the originality Hollywood once had?
I think that's a thing of the past.
I have to agree. I mean, they redid Red Dawn. I mean, come on.
That shouldn't have been redone.
No, the original was awesome.
There was a TV special on recently called Mockingbird Lane, which was a reimagining. Boy, have I come to hate that word. A reimagining of the Munsters. And it's a semi-serious, special effects heavy show in which Eddie Izzard plays Grandpa and Jerry O'Connell plays Herman Munster. I would have loved to have sat in on that meeting.
How did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
How was it?
I wasn't crazy about it, but it annoys me that if they want to do that show, why don't they just do it and not say it's a reimagining of the Munsters, because it's different enough so that they could just do it on its own. But no, it has to be a reimagining of the Munsters. They have to take a sitcom, a half-hour sitcom that was just terribly silly, and turn it into something that it wasn't.
And terribly loved.
Oh yeah,
deeply loved.
Yeah, the Munsters, the Addams Family, I wanted to run away from home and move in with either one of them.
Oh, I did too. And I wanted to go live with Don Knotts and the Ghost of Mr. Chicken House.
Yeah, right?
I love that movie.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Now, one of these reimaginings that really pissed me off was Battlestar Galactica.
Now, I still haven't seen that show. I know a lot of people who loved it.
I refuse to watch it, and I know I'm probably pissing people off out there that may enjoy it, but I watched the original, and there wasn't all this, the Cylons look like people. No, the Cylons were robots. They looked like robots. They were it was the enemy. They knew who they were fighting. It was black and white. Great special effects for the day. Mm-hmm. But this whole reimagining, and I watched the very last episode just to,
check it
good,
out.
it's finally over, and it comes to the point to where they recreated humanity.
Oh, really? Like I said, I haven't seen the show.
Well, some of us are diehard traditionalists. We just love the traditional ones.
I'm pretty open-minded about a lot of stuff, but some of the things I'm very passionate about, I will be a Nazi about it. I mean, and Battlestar Galactica was one of them.
And you probably feel the same way about the new Disney Star Wars.
I will give it a chance, just like I gave Phantom Menace a chance, and it blew it.
Use the Force, Luke.
I think it's going to be okay.
I agree with you, Nick, in the chat room. The original Battlestar Galactica was the best for its time.
I loved that show when I was a kid.
I did too, man. I never missed an episode. But
there was another reimagining of. Oh shit! Now it slipped right out of my mind. I'm getting old.
I told you it's sometimers. It's not
Sometimers,
it's not all timers. It's sometimers.
Are you talking about Dark Shadows?
Oh, that's another one. Yeah, I didn't know how I was going to like that, but I ended up enjoying the movie.
Well, Johnny Depp rules, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't care for the second TV series, the primetime TV series with Ben Cross. That one just didn't work as well for me. And although it was, of course, the quality was much better, because in the old one, the one that I watched when I was a little kid, that scared the hell out of me somehow. It had wobbly sets. You could see technicians walking around in the background. Actors forgot their lines.
Something so
Watching those old
beloved
shows now
about
is pretty
that.
funny.
You know?
What was that?
There's something so beloved about that when you think back, though.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like Doctor Who.
That's probably my first exposure to horror on TV was Dark Shadows.
Oh, see, mine was The Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Ah.
Mine, actually, my first ever introduction into anything horror was when Mom brought us to go see The Exorcist at the drive-in.
Your mother?
Yes, my mother.
A staunch Catholic, by the
Oh
way.
yeah, she's militant Catholic.
Oh well, then to her it was a documentary.
Oh really? You know, I mean.
Nothing has scared me that bad since I saw that, though.
Oh, me either.
And I always wanted to.
I used to swear when I was a little kid my bed was shaking. I'd go hide Mom's room.
I thought there was rats in the ceiling.
I did like the prequel they made, that Exorcist 4.
Dominion?
Yeah.
There were two of those. One was directed by Rennie Harlan, and the other one was directed by Paul Schrader. And I preferred the one by Paul Schrader that wasn't. I don't think it was released in theaters. I think it went straight to video.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's the same story, just different directors.
Okay, I saw the one that was released in the theaters, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Lisa,
I'm
you're
surprised
right.
they haven't remade it. I'm surprised they haven't remade The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yeah, they can't touch that one, though. They're gonna, try
They will. There's nothing sacred in Hollywood. Remake it.
No, but I don't think they'll come close to that one.
No.
Now, I'll tell you,
woman.
one, I guess you can consider it a reimagining. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, too. I'm not a full-on Trekkie. I'm not going to dress up like a Klingon and go to work and speak Klingonese. But I love Star Trek. And I liked the new movie they came out with. I thought they did really well casting the original characters.
Yeah.
And I was glad that, Leonard Nimoy had his part in it and kind of passed the torch, so to speak. But I thought they did a wonderful job in that.
It was very good.
It was very good. And they're supposed to do 2 more movies on that one, so I'm looking forward to those coming out.
Yeah. Have you seen a movie called Free Enterprise?
No, I haven't.
It's directed by one of my Facebook friends, Robert Meyer Burnett, and it was sort of based on his childhood and the fact that he's just a massive Trek nut. And it's very funny. It's a great movie. It stars William Shatner. These two guys who grew up worshiping Captain Kirk end up meeting William Shatner in Hollywood and working with him on his. He wants to do. I can't remember what Shakespeare play it is now, where he plays all the parts. It's hilarious. I recommend it.
And what's it called?
It's called Free Enterprise.
Cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Did I lose? I'm not hearing you guys very well.
Oh, hang on just a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, right on. Okay. No, I was getting whispered in my ear,
Oh,
which is fun sometimes. But I'm sorry. What was that you were saying? I apologize.
that's okay. I was just talking about Free Enterprise.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you were saying,
Batman was another one. I grew up watching the old Adam West TV series. I loved that when I was a kid. I took it very seriously when I was little, and I couldn't understand why the adults laughed at it. Now I know. But then Tim Burton did his movie
I'll
and
still mod it.
loved it.
I tell you, I was a fan. Talking about Adam West, you know, that original Batman series.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved that. I watched it. You know, of course, it was reruns by the time I, you know, got to see it because that came out in the '60s, a little bit before my time, but not much, but just a little. And I was a Batman nut. That was my superhero coming up.
Oh God, I had Batman toothpaste.
Oh wow!
Wow.
I was a kid.
My very first Halloween costume was Batman.
Really?
I had to be Batman, and I really like how they did the first three movies with crap, what's his name? Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton. He was in the first two.
Yeah, that's right. He was in.
Yeah.
I love those. They were really dark.
Yeah,
And
Tim Burton's movies were great.
But from my opinion, again, this is my opinion, I was always more of a fan of The Dark Knight, not Batman and Robin.
Right, me too.
Just because he was a lot more darker. He was more business oriented. It was a lot less, you know, kapow, zam, bluey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was all business.
And the last three that were made did a great job, I thought, of planting Batman in reality. You know, it wasn't a dark gothic Gotham City. It was a real city, and all of his gadgetry and all of his technology was, well, you know, still beyond the realm of reality. It was made to feel like it could actually be done. I like that. I like the one with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Oh, he was so twisted as that.
Yeah.
I really like how he characterized the Joker in that. Because I think he brought out the most evil, twisted Joker ever.
He was.
I mean, he really personified it well. And I really like Christian Bale playing Batman.
So did I. I didn't think I would, but he's been great.
Yeah, I was kind of iffy about it myself until I saw the movies, and I was like, okay, he's got this.
He did do good.
You know, I think Christian Bale really is an underrated actor for what he pulled.
Yeah, he is, and he was a vast improvement over, say, Val Kilmer.
Yes. And I love Val Kilmer.
I like Val Kilmer, too.
But he wasn't
I
a
like
good
George
No,
Clooney.
he was not a good Batman.
Well, we have a question in chat. J.J. Foster wants to know, was Shackled hard to write because of the taboo of child molestation?
That was probably the most disturbing thing for me that I ever wrote.
Wow.
It was an ugly book, and I wanted to make it as disgusting as possible because I didn't want it to come off as erotic. You know what I mean? It's like the rapes in Ravenous and Bestial. I didn't want those to seem erotic.
Well, it's a disgusting subject, so you'd have to do it that way, wouldn't you?
But
right, yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you have to give the window or open a window into that facet for people to take notice and cause action.
Yeah.
You know, and when you show the dark side or the nasty side of it, it's going to open people's eyes.
Well, when you disturb them.
Because, you know, a lot of times they'll show this kind of stuff on TV. I mean, not in any kind of, you know, full-on aspect, but, I mean, they'll touch on a news story. And a lot of people are you know...
desensitized.
Not desensitized, but they're grossed out by it, you know, so they'll turn their eyes, they'll go do dishes or leave the room till the story is over. However, I think attention needs to be brought to that so these people can be found and castrated and shot. Just my take on it.
Law and Order SVU covers that subject a lot.
That's a good show.
It is.
Yeah. Although I haven't been able to watch it since Christopher Maloney left. It's just not the same.
Another one I like, which is new, and everybody probably shoot me for this, is Hawaii Five-0.
I do. I like that.
Once you get over the fact that it's not the old one, it's just, it's a really good show.
I haven't watched that yet, but Dawn likes it a lot. She watches it.
Well, I like how they tied it together to the old one. And I think they had Ed Asner on there, matter of fact. You remember? I don't know if you...
he was reprising the role he did in the old series.
Exactly. And I like how they tied it together because the Steve McQueen they have now is the son of the original. I mean, but they have Dano and, they've modernized it and all this kind of stuff, but it's all tied together to the old ones. And I like how they do that. I didn't think I was going to like it at all because I was a fan of the original.
It evolved nicely.
It did.
Still one of the best theme songs in TV history.
Oh, indeed. And the opening shots, I mean, they still try to capture the original opening shots, but now. Which I thought was pretty cool. Because if you watch
the King Kamehameha.
Well, the wave, the jet engine.
Right.
The whole nine. If you watch the old one and remember the intro, and you watch the new one, it'll bring you back. It's like, oh, remember this.
But it's so colorful now because of HD. It's beautiful colors.
Well, yeah, the whole difference in filmography, and the way the digital media has enhanced all the colors in the pictures. It's really,
It's beautiful.
It's really brought it out. I mean, you see all the flowers and everything's really gold or yellow,
And the water.
I would love to go to Hawaii one day.
Oh, one day.
Yeah, I've never been there. I'd love to visit sometime. That show was we never missed that in my house when I was a kid, and that and another old show that I've been watching lately because it's on Netflix, Mission Impossible. I'm surprised by how well that show holds up.
Oh,
It
still
still works very well.
And oddly enough, I still like Dragnet.
Oh yeah,
You really can't beat the old shows. I mean, even you're looking at 1930s and 40s Three Stooges.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do want to see the new one though.
I don't.
The new movie is very good. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, but I liked it.
They said they researched that for like 15 years.
Now, going back just for a brief second to Hawaii Five-0, that show, every time it came on, was on in the house because, what's the character that...
Jack Lord.
Jack Lord. That was my mom's boyfriend. That was her man. She thought he was the hottest thing since Elvis. And
Lots of women did.
she wanted to marry Jack Lord.
Lots of women did.
And,
If you go back and watch the old show, everybody's wearing suits.
yeah.
And
No, that's not the case.
I love those suits from that time period with the thin ties and the thin lapels and
All that polyester.
No, that's not necessarily polyester.
Oh, it was polyester.
Oh.
Thin ties and great big cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, those land yachts.
Yeah.
Okay. We have JJ in the chat room is asking, Ray, who is your favorite horror writer and why?
Excellent question.
Oh boy, I have a hard time answering favorite anything questions.
There's so many out there.
There are, but the ones that have had the most influence on me have been, like I said, Richard Matheson. Robert Bloch was very influential to me. Stephen King and Peter Straub. I read a lot of Richard Lehman when I was in high school. I liked his stuff. And it's hard to pick a favorite. I like Thomas Tessier, great writer. Then there are some writers who've written horror, but they aren't known for it. William Goldman, who wrote Magic, the novel Magic, was a favorite of mine. He doesn't write novels anymore. He decided to focus entirely on screenplays, and he's one of the best at that. But his novels, Magic, Marathon Man, great books. Ira Levin is another one who's written some horror, but not all of his stuff is horror. Kiss
Right.
Before Dying was a great thriller.
You're talking about Magic, like the one with the movie with Anthony
Yeah,
Hopkins?
the ventriloquist dummy. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites, yeah.
The novel was written in such a way so that you don't know Fats is a ventriloquist dummy until about the halfway mark.
Oh, wow.
And then it's revealed rather startlingly. And he also wrote the screenplay for the movie directed by Richard Attenborough.
Oh.
Now, let me ask you this. You do read, science fiction and fantasy, I believe what you said earlier.
I don't read much fantasy. I'm not a big fan of fantasy. I do read science fiction. There's not much I don't read. I read all kinds of stuff. But for some reason, I've never been a big fan of fantasy. Tolkien I loved. The Dragon Riders of Pern books, I enjoyed those.
Oh, yeah, Anne McCaffrey is awesome.
Yeah.
I've read everything that she wrote. I think the last book I read by her was Moretta. I think was the last one, though.
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
That one came out, oh God, it had to be like mid to late 80s when that one came out. I think that was the last one I read. It was like the fourth book after that one came after The White Dragon.
Oh, okay.
But I read the Harper Hall series before that, and then I read the Dragon Rider series, and she's just an excellent writer. Now, some of the new ones, if you ever decide, that you want to pick up a science fiction book, I would suggest R.A. Salvatore.
I've not read any of that person's work. Is that a man or a woman?
It's a man.
It's a man. I know the name, and I've heard great things, but I haven't read him yet.
Yeah, he writes a lot based on Dungeons and Dragons.
Uh-huh.
And specifically the out of the Forgotten Realms world, which was part of. I was a big D&D geek growing up, and he wrote a lot that came out of the second edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and he based a lot of his characters. He's got one in particular called Drizzt, who is a drow, is a dark elf, and dark elves for the most part are evil.
Mm.
But this one chose to go against the grain and leave the Underdark where they live at, which is in these large cavernous empires, and come above ground. And he experiences racism and prejudice wherever he goes because of how he looks and who he is. But it's a great character. He really delves deep into him, and if you ever decide to read any, I would suggest reading some of that. It's excellent.
I've also enjoyed Neil Gaiman. I haven't read a lot of his stuff, but I've enjoyed what I've read. As far as fantasy goes, have you read Mick Farren? Last Stand of the DNA Cowboys. I'm blanking on his titles now. He writes science fiction. I love his stuff. He's also written a couple of vampire novels that I haven't read yet, although I've got them here. A Time for Feasting and Dark Lost.
No, actually, anything really dealing with vampires. The last series I read was, of course, the Anne Rice books. Mm-hmm. And I really got into them until I read, what was that one? What's on the tip of my tongue? Vittorio the Vampire.
Oh yeah.
That was the last one I read. I only got about halfway through it, and her characterizations of the sexuality of the vampires got taken to another level.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to that point, that's when I decided to put the book down.
I haven't read anything by her in a long time. In fact, I haven't read anything about vampires in a long time. About 2 or 3 times a year, my agent and Richard Curtis and I have the same discussion about when is this going to end? This is, they've got to drop off at some point. People have got to get sick of vampires. We keep having that discussion. We'll probably have it again next spring because the popularity just doesn't seem to go away. The demand does not die out.
One thing I talk about vampires too, like I don't know. They're evolving with society, and societal issues are put in. I don't really care. Like even for the Twilight series, I.
I don't like it when vampires and when there's been a shift in with these characters. There used to be about people who were confronting vampires. Now it's about vampires and how they live, and they work at Costco and they go about their lives, but they're vampires. That doesn't interest me.
No.
I prefer that my vampires be the villains, and I prefer that they be mean and nasty and not sparkle.
Exactly. and
not be teenagers.
And fall in love with each other. No, that's not what you're about. You are a bloodthirsty demon. Go eat people. Go suck their blood till they're dry.
Yeah.
I remember my first introduction into vampires was with late night show that used to come on called Dr. Shock.
Oh, one of the old age show horror movies?
Exactly.
Yeah, mine was Creature Features, hosted by Bob Wilkins.
Well, I'm sure you've seen the same thing. They had the Dracula featuring Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
And, from there, of course, I went back. I watched the original Nosferatu. And that's the vampires I like.
Yeah, me too. It dates me, I guess. I'm old-fashioned. I'm an old fart, but that's how I prefer my vampires.
Now, I did like the characterizations they did with them in Blade. I like that.
I enjoyed Blade.
That was a pretty cool series.
I think the second one was my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
Those vampires with the mouths that open.
Oh yeah, they look like aliens, or not the aliens, but the predators.
Yeah, exactly. But Dawn loves anything vampires. She watches movies and reads books about vampires that I couldn't get through. She'll watch or read anything about vampires, except Twilight. She doesn't like those.
Now, I did enjoy the Anne Rice books. Like I said, up until that Vittorio.
Yeah.
I liked them all up till that. I thought, it's been my favorite book of the series was The Vampire Lestat.
My favorite was the first one, Interview with a Vampire. That one blew me away.
I didn't really care for the movie that much, though. Just having Tom Cruise in it ruined it. At least for me. I'm not a Tom Cruise fan, though.
No, I'm not either.
I don't know. Whenever he shows up as the Vampire Lestat, I expect him to slide around in underwear singing,
Risky Business?
Yeah.
He's actually a better actor than he often gets credit for, and he's been in some movies that I've really loved, like Magnolia. I don't know if you saw that, but he plays a sort of self-help guru in which he tells, in the movie, he tells men how to get laid and how they should treat women. And he's really an asshole in that movie. And he did a great job. I like that. I understand that he's also good in Rock of Ages, which
Oh, that's that new one.
I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. The two movies I liked him in.
Legend.
I liked him in Legend, and I liked him in Risky Business. I thought those two were good movies.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot for me to get past now, after so many other roles, getting past that he's Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Not only the roles, but jumping up and down on Oprah's couch.
Exactly. Now, what was that movie he was in?
Well, and then all those contracts that we see online.
Yeah, the Scientology.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was that movie where it was a little bit in the near future where they could predict murders?
Oh, yeah. It was a Philip K. Dick adaptation.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on the title.
I am too. But I did like it.
He worked for the pre-crime.
Exactly. It was like preventive crime or preventive murder or something like that, where they can predict it with these psychics. And I really liked him in that movie.
It's pissing me off that I can't remember the name of it.
It is me too, man.
I'm looking it up right now.
I want to say Butterfly Effect, but that's not it. That was
That,
Ashton Kutcher.
yeah, Ashton Kutcher.
yeah, oh God.
That was a good movie.
Let's see. Minority Report.
There it is.
Oh, and J.J. Foster had popped it up too. Yep.
I also enjoyed Vanilla Sky. Not many other people
I haven't
did.
seen that one.
You know, I forgot about that movie. That's a good one too. And what that one's about is he gets in a car accident, and he you know, he's this pretty boy and a womanizer and everything, and then he gets in his car wreck and his face is all disfigured, and he loses all his friends, and it's a really good movie.
I enjoyed that one, and I did not like War of the Worlds.
Oh no, that's another reimagining that they ruined. I love the one from the 50s.
Now Spielberg's got this Lincoln movie that I'm not interested in seeing.
I actually want to see that.
I would like to see it just to see how historically correct it is. I know.
It just looks to me like one of those movies that's going to be very, very slow and very, very, very important. It's going to keep reminding me of how important it is, and I don't like that.
You know what movie I liked was Johnny Depp in Nick of Time.
Yep, that was another good one.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, you missed a good one, Ray. Really a good one.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah.
Eyes Wide Shut was a Tom Cruise movie that I liked.
That's the one with Nicole Kidman, right?
Yeah,
We haven't seen that one.
No, and that one was all sexy, as I hear.
yeah, the amazingly lifelike Nicole Kidman. It was edited for when it was first released. There were scenes of sex going on at parties and at a party, and they digitally added figures standing in front of the couples having sex, so you couldn't see much of the thrusting because the MPAA is really, they've got a bug up their ass about thrusting.
Well, no, they have a bug up their ass about penetration, is what it is.
Well, there was no penetration in it.
But the thrusting leads you to believe that.
Well, yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, we haven't seen that one.
No.
And I guess we'll have to rent it and see what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend that one. It's they've since removed the digitally added figures, and it's the movie that Kubrick made.
Oh, good.
That was the last one he made, matter of fact.
Yeah. He was murdered by the Illuminati.
They get everybody.
Well, he exposed too much about them in Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now I really want to see it.
Woo woo booga booga.
Now, talking about Stanley Kubrick, I'm a big fan of his movies, and I think my favorite by him will always be Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
That is so twisted. And you actually get to see Darth Vader in that movie without the suit on.
You mean the dude what played Darth Vader?
David Prowse.
Okay.
Oh, David Prowse, he's in that?
Yes, if you remember toward the end when he's carrying around the paraplegic man, that big muscle-bound guy,
okay.
that's David Prowse.
Ah.
Is he related to Juliet Prowse?
I have no idea.
I think that
But he is one big moose of a fella, I'll tell you that. But I didn't know it was him at first, and I read later on after, I think it was after Empire Strikes Back came out, they did a filmography on, some of the stuff he's been in. And they said that he was in Clockwork Orange, and I'm like, well, where the hell was he? I didn't recognize him. I didn't see the Darth Vader mask, And I go back and I rented it and I watched it. And there he was, packing around the paraplegic at the end. That was the one that Malcolm McDowell had beat up earlier on and raped the wife.
Yeah. I love stuff like that. I was in the movie The Sentinel. Have you ever seen that about a woman who gets recruited to guard the gateway of hell in an apartment building in New York.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, that's a great movie. That's from 1978, I think. But there's a shot, a scene on the street. We're following a couple of people who are walking and talking, and in the background, for just a moment, you get a look at Richard Dreyfuss, which is odd because he was actually a pretty popular actor by then. He'd already done Jaws, and he's just there for a second. He's in the background. He's talking to a woman, and I'd like to know how he ended up in that. I don't know the story behind it.
Okay, I got Lisa B in the chat room is asking if you could have a movie made of any of your stories, which one would it be, and who would star in it in a perfect world?
Well, Live Girls is still my most well-known and popular book, and I've always wanted to see that as a movie. Not sure who I would have star in it now. When I wrote it, the part of Walter Benedek was in my head. I was writing Walter Matthau.
Oh, wow.
I thought it would be interesting to see him in a horror film. And in my head, all my books are horror films, and I'm just putting them on the page. I would also like to see Sex and Violence in Hollywood made into a movie. Right now, it's been optioned and it's being developed by a producer, and he's trying to find a director. I would love to see that movie adapted faithfully, but as far as stars, the father of Adam in the book, I would like to see played by. Now I can't remember his name. He's not an actor. He's a screenwriter. He wrote Showgirls. He wrote Basic Instinct. And I'm blanking on his name now too. Remember, I said I'm running on 4 hours of sleep.
And I totally understand because I'm about the same boat.
Oh, somebody's got to know this. Does anybody in the chat room know who I'm talking about?
Let's see if someone pops it up here in just a second.
Oh, I've got IMDb open here.
Let's see, JJ was asking, Darth Vader was the bodyguard in Clockwork Orange? Yes, he was. David Prowse, the man who wears the suit in the movies, was the bodyguard in Clockwork Orange.
Joe Esterhazy, that's the guy I'm trying.
There you go.
When I wrote that character, I had him in mind. But I don't know about casting, but those two are the ones I would love most to see them adapted as movies.
Now I had Nick says that Live Girls would be cool, and JJ Foster put up Ravenous. And Nick,
I'd love to see that.
Nick also said the New Neighbor.
That would most likely be unrated if it were faithful to the book, because that's another one that's got lots of sex in it. Ravenous, I would. There's a shortage of good werewolf movies out there, and among my favorites are American Werewolf in London and The Howling. Those two that came out both in 1981, I think. Mm-hmm. And the werewolves in Ravenous are very similar to the werewolves in The Howling. They're big and they're vicious. That would make a great movie. I would love to see that.
Now, I'll tell you, one of those, I like both of those, and those stand out as, up there in the top three. But I would also have to add into that Silver Bullet.
Oh, yeah, Silver Bullet. That was with the Crazy Man.
That had Fred Savage in it.
Yeah, Fred Savage and
but yeah, I'm at a loss for the other.
Gary Busey.
There you go.
Gary Busey. Scary Gary.
Oh, he's something else, all right.
Yeah, that was a fun movie. I like the guy. Everett McGill played the priest or pastor.
Now, I tell you, if there's someone out there brave enough, I really think someone should follow Gary Busey around for several weeks and just write a book on Buseyisms. I think it would sell.
Yeah, it would sell.
A lot of people would buy it because that dude is so left field.
There was a TV show for a while that did follow him around. It was a reality show on, it might have been Comedy Central, just some guy who managed to hook up with Busey and befriend him and did a show about him. And that guy is crazier than a bag of wet cats.
Well, you know what happened to him, right?
Yeah.
The motorcycle wreck.
I don't think that's entirely the reason.
No, because he
that way before the wreck.
Yeah, he was a nutbag before that, but it expanded it quite a bit.
Yeah, it did.
Every time I think of Gary Busey, I think of oh God, what's that movie? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. It was like Black Wednesday. Something like that. It was a bunch of surfer guys.
Oh, Point Break.
No. It wasn't Point Break. It was God. I want to say it was something like Black Wednesday or something like that. They were all It was Vietnam era, and they were all getting drafted.
Oh no, I'm not familiar with that.
And Gary Busey played a guy who was going to be a nut, and they had him put on a pair of the old leg braces like they used to make kids wear.
Right.
And they cracked him in his shins with a cane, and he walked into the office, the draft office, combing his hair with a fish. And every time I think of Gary Busey, I think about him combing his hair with that fish.
Well, that may have been his idea.
It could have been.
It might be something he actually does.
It was. I'm gonna look this up real quick. I gotta find this out. It's gonna drive me nuts all night. But if you haven't seen it, definitely see it.
Is this from the 70s? Or
yes, it's from the 70s.
Let's see.
And in fact, it had William Catt in it too. If everyone remembers William Catt, that was the Greatest American Hero.
Yeah.
Which was
Big Wednesday.
That's it. I knew it was something about Wednesday.
1978.
That was it was a pretty good movie. One of their friends ends up getting killed in Nam, and it shows everything leading up to what happened to when they get recruited. A few of them didn't go, and then a few of them ended up having to go. They couldn't get past the draft board, and one of them died. And Gary Busey was actually a war hero and came back, and got to see what everybody was up to when they came back. And of course, what they did, they got on boards and caught some waves.
Yeah. I didn't know he was. I'm looking at his IMDb page right now. I didn't know he was in the Gumball Rally. I haven't seen that movie in ages, but
oh God, I haven't seen that in years.
When he said that, it made me think of a Mad World.
Right?
excuse me.
Well, let's see. 9:30. We've been here for 2.5 hours, Ray.
Wow.
I told you this bullshit with Bob show, man. I mean, it goes for a while, but it goes quick.
This is like a telethon. What's the total?
You probably are the king at this point.
Yeah, because we only had that one music break.
Yeah. Everybody tries to outdo everybody, right?
We're gonna make it to where you're the winner tonight. Because I think I'll just hold off and play more music. We're having so much of a great conversation.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I got Lisa B in the chat room wanted me to ask you, what is your up and coming projects?
Well, mostly I'm just trying to sell some stuff right now. I've got this this vampire werewolf novel that I'm trying to interest a publisher in, and I've been meaning to do that for a long time. In fact, a lot of people ask me about it. Somebody just asked me about it on Facebook the other day. That and the short story that I'm working on at the moment. I have a lot of stuff that I want to write. I just haven't gotten started on it yet. I'd like to do a big fat novel that ties up all of the currently popular conspiracy theories, like the Gone with the Wind of conspiracy theories. I know that there's the Illuminatus trilogy that kind of did that, but it's very dated at this point. I'd like to do something more updated and something that takes it more seriously. The Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson and I forget who the co-writer was. It's a funny book. It's a farce, but I'd like to do it in a much more serious way. Conspiracy, I think paranoia right now is the order of the day. It's everybody seems to have a conspiracy theory about something.
Exactly.
Like that.
It's a combination of things too, with the way the economy is, across the world.
The politics.
The politics. You've got this whole Mayan calendar, and of course, like people like the History Channel's feeding on that.
Oh my God, the History Channel. Everything but history on the History Channel.
Just
No
like
more
MTV.
history on the History Channel, unless it involves Nazis. They love Nazis.
Oh yes, they were showing that all day today. In fact, where I work at, when we're not busy, we have Dish Network, and of course, the boss man loves to watch the History Channel. And it was all about Nazis and Nazis in the occult, Nazis in this, and Nazis in that.
But when it's not Nazis, it's UFOs, aliens, the Mayan calendar.
The search for Sasquatch.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I want to put this out there for all you listeners. One day, I'm moving to the Pacific Northwest for the sole purpose that I want to be a Bigfoot hunter. And I'm going out there to shoot all I want is one. And I don't want a big one. I want a small one. Because I want to make me a pair of Bigfoot long johns. With the feet still in them. Like them pajamas you had as a kid with the boots in them.
Right, the footsies.
Yeah, I want the feet still in them. But I'm going to make the trap door in the back and the whole 9 yards, Have me a little hoodie on it. But, yeah, I'm going Bigfoot hunting one day, and I'm going to make me a Bigfoot, set of coveralls, and with the feet on them, and that's my plan.
And I'll be out there going, don't shoot it, honey. No, boom. Oh,
No, it ain't going to be just boom. It's going to be boom, 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 boom. Because remember, I have an AK.
I'll be all scared.
But remember, you heard it here first. You got to have goals in life, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I think we're actually on the backside of this cold we've been having for like 3 months now.
Oh, I had one of those that turned into pneumonia not long ago and knocked me on my ass for about 6 weeks.
Man, I'm prone to pneumonia. I've got really bad sinuses, and I've had pneumonia 3 times in my life, and I'm really prone to it. Luckily, through the VA, I can get a pneumonia shot that lasts between 5 and 7 years.
Yeah.
So every 5 years I go and I get my little booster shot of it, and at least it saves me from getting pneumonia. But my sinuses still suck. I still get bronchitis. I still spit up a lung and a half, and it sucks. But we've been passing this around between the 3 of us here.
Too long.
Yeah, too long. I think we're on the the 5th time now.
Yeah. About over though.
And I blame it on Buffy. It's her fault.
Yeah.
I think it's because I put her on the porch too much. She catches that stuff at night and then brings it back in with her. Just saying.
He's such a sweet talker.
I treat my women right. Actually, I love my wife very much. I couldn't do everything I do without her being behind me 100%. So, yeah, big hug.
I love you
No
too.
Porsche for you tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Well, let's see. What haven't we talked about yet?
I don't know.
The price of tea in China, we haven't talked about that.
What haven't we talked about yet, Ray?
Oh, I don't know if there's much I can contribute to anything. I'm fading fast here.
Okay, this is a good question by Nick. Would you ever consider turning any of your novels into a comic book or a graphic novel?
Yeah, I would. I would like very much to do that. I've done some short stories that have been adapted as for comic books. I did. Let's see. One of my stories, Punishments, was adapted for Verotic, the Danzig comic book.
Oh, wow.
From back in the '90s, I think that was. I would like to do any of them. I'm a fan of that art form.
One of my favorite, and this will go back to what we were talking about earlier about Batman. Sometime in the '90s, excuse me, I got to read a graphic novelization on Batman, and what had happened in the comic books. I had a friend of mine that kept up with everything. You know, Batman got old, of course, and he passed the suit on to someone else, and this someone else abused it. Batman came back and took it back. And in the comic book series, he was, and I believe this has to do with the character that was just in the newest movie, Bane.
Bane, yeah.
Yeah, Bane ended up breaking his back, which is one of the reasons why he had to, step out of the suit and pass it on. Well, he ends up coming back, getting trained. His back's 100% better. Exactly, Nick. That's when his back op broke. And he comes back, fights Bane, beats him. And it was just great reading it. I mean, it was so thick. There was so much story to it. Ended up him and Superman getting a fight at the end.
Wait a minute. Now, this is starting to sound familiar. Is this Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns?
God, it's been so many years now since I've read that one. That sounds familiar, though.
Yeah, I think that's it. I haven't read it in many years either, but that was great. I enjoyed that.
I like how they adapt the comics into that graphic novelization, because it gets so much more in depth and it's more adult oriented. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Am I combining stories, Nick?
Yeah, that's two stories. The part with Superman that came, I think, from Frank Miller's Dark Knight. I'm not sure about the Bane story because that one doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, so Nick's telling me Dark Knight Returns, Superman and he get into a fight, and I believe that's when Batman pretends to be dead. So yes, I am. Okay, yeah. Like I said, it's been years, and I'm very tired myself. And
old timers.
Yeah, I get my sometimers myself too. But still, I mean, those were excellent stories. The way they were brought about in the novelizations, and I really like that format.
Yeah,
I like that medium.
Yeah, the Frank Miller book was very dark and crazy. It was just nuts. I loved that.
And thank you, Nick, for correcting me. I really appreciate that because
you like being correct.
I do like being correct.
And that was incorrect.
I cannot stand being wrong.
How about a tune or two?
We can do that. Let me pull up on here, and I'll let you know Oh, it lost all the tunes. Let me see. I saved it. The playlist. Just in case this happened.
You just bashed it. Go in there and...
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up. Give me a second, babe. Nope, that's not what I wanted either. Technology. You can do it. Well, this thing is lagging pretty bad. Let me cancel that out. I will open the playlist. Actually, let me find the playlist first. How about that?
You told me you put it in playlists.
I thought I did.
That's sound bites.
I see that. But I was going to search for it to make sure. Sometimes it goes other places. Bear with us, folks. And see, it didn't go there. So let me try to find it.
Okay. Yeah, he had one marked Ray.
I just have to find the location.
Space playlist.
Or I should put under M3U. There it is. Now, where's it located?
Boy, if technology was perfect, we'd be paying through the nose for it.
And Ray, I'm with you. I hate technology. I hate buttons. It's something that pisses me off.
Technology hates me.
Okay, where did it go? Music
Classic
files,
hits.
classic hits. That makes sense, though. Because that's where I was loading up all the music from.
Right.
Now, see, if I'd have had a little bit of sleep last night, I would have found it.
And if
Hey, there it is.
okay.
How about some Led Zeppelin?
That sounds good.
I've got Black Dog, When the Levee Breaks, or No Quarter. Which one would you like?
Oh, Black Dog.
How about some Pink Floyd also? I've got Money and Shine On, You Crazy Diamond.
Oh, Shine On, You Crazy Diamond.
Man After My Own Heart. Let's see. I got some UFO. Doctor or Rock Bottom.
Play Steely Dan, Showbiz Kids.
Steely Dan.
Yeah, Steely Dan. I just saw Donald Fagen on, I think it was Letterman the other night. He has a new album.
And I'm going to throw one other one in there that's going to be a surprise. So, all my peoples out there listening, again, thank you so much for tuning in and joining in the show and participating. We couldn't do this without you guys listening, man. Really, we could not. And we so appreciate everything that, the support that you show us. But we got Led Zeppelin, Black Dog, Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Steely Dan, Showbiz Kids, and the surprise. And we'll be back here in just a few minutes, so stick around. You're listening to the Bullshit with Bob show right here on Brutiful Metal Radio.
Starring Ray Garden.
Thank you guys for sticking around out there in the chat room and in listener land. Got quite a few that are tuned in, not in chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Bullshit with Bob show with me, Bob. Yay! Right here on Brutiful Metal Radio.
Starring.
And we've been talking with Ray Garden, horror author and professional miscreant. And again, I want to thank you, Ray, for taking the time out and coming in, talking to us and letting us know about your writing and about you. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again.
Now, we were talking during the break. I saw these questions come up, and we were going to touch on this. That JJ had asked. He said that you had seems like you had some kind of religious upbringing and may have had a bad experience with it. And he thinks that you're either an atheist or an agnostic.
Yeah, I'm an atheist now. That wasn't an overnight decision. That was the end of a long process of reading, researching, and but I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist, and that's a pseudo-Christian cult that the prophet of the church, Ellen White, who lived back in the 1800s. She died in 1915. She had allegedly visions from God. And he told her that reading fiction would cause all kinds of physical illness, physical paralysis, insanity, death, most of the same things that he said masturbation would cause. And I love to read, and I was a big fan of fiction, and I was always reminded that the devil was working on me really hard, that he was working through me, especially after I started writing. And it didn't go over well. I ended up having a nasty experience in Angwin, California. Threats were made on my life. And it's informed a lot of my writing. I've written mostly in short stories and novellas about that experience. The story Monsters deals with that, and Punishments. In fact, those stories are in my most recent short story collection, Wailing and Gnashing of Teeth. And that's an impossible book to find, but I'll be listing one on eBay this Sunday, so if anybody's interested, you might want to check that out.
Right on.
But yeah, these days I'm an atheist, and I have put that behind me, but it's not something you can put behind you completely, because it was, in my most formative years, that was what I was taught to believe, and I grew up in fear. I was afraid all the time, so it's certainly not surprising that I write horror. And it was, I guess I shouldn't complain about it, because it turned me into the person I am, and I'm pretty happy with who I am now. But for a long time, I was not happy at all.
Now, I want to throw this out. We're going to be wrapping this up here in just a few, folks. But I do want to throw this out once again for all of you that are out there in listener land and here in the chat, to where you can locate Ray Garton online. Of course, he's got www.raygartononline.com. That's the main website. He does have a Twitter account. You can go to twitter.com Ray Garton. You can go to ereads.com /ECMS /author name /Ray Garton. You can look up amazon.com and just search the name. Also, you can find Ray on Facebook. And if you have any problems locating Ray, just slap him in Google. You will find him. Now, we're going to do this book giveaway. And the question that we have is going to be for a true fan of Ray Garton. Where did Walter work in the book Live Girls? And I'll be patiently waiting your answer.
Walter Benedek. He was the guy to sort of uncover the problem in Live Girls.
They may be having a little bit of a lag. Sometimes it does that between the main computer and the listeners. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag involved.
I'm not in the chat room, so I'm not seeing what's going on there.
JJ says he's a detective. That is incorrect. Nick says he's a reporter. But the question is, where did he work? Well, Ray, we have a winner.
Oh, who got it?
That would be JJ. Now, Nick actually was the first one to say reporter.
Mm-hmm.
JJ did follow it with reporter. And JJ came up with New York Times.
Then they should both get a copy.
Well, there you go. JJ, Nick, if you would, you're both going to get a copy. Signed, first edition, hardbound.
Now, if they'd like me to inscribe it, I'd be happy to do that if they tell me who they want me to inscribe it to.
Okay, now if you would, both of y'all are getting a copy. If you would like him to inscribe it to you, let me know who it is. You know, what's your name, how you want him to write it, and Vix, if you would, go ahead and get with them on their information as far as where Ray needs to send them.
Give me a mailing address, and I'll send it up to them.
So, Vix, if you can work on that, get names of how they want it done, and get their addresses for us. And, JJ says he's friends with you on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Well, then he can message me.
Well, there you go, JJ. Give him a message. Nick, are you a friend of his on Facebook also? He is too. Okay.
Great.
Nick, JJ's name is actually Jesh, Jesh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's going to hit you up on there. And congratulations to the both of y'all. I mean, standing ovation. We're doing the wave for you guys. Great job. You got two solid fans in here, Ray.
They will have copies by the end of the week.
You will have. There you go. You will have them by the end of the week. Or you said next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end of next week. And they're thanking you very much.
Actually, next week is Thanksgiving, isn't it? So that might there's a day that there's no mail, but I'll get them out to them right away.
There you go. Just be looking in the mailboxes over the next 4 or 5 days, and you'll have it. You'll have your copies. That is so awesome. Congratulations, guys. Nick, Jesh, congrats, guys. Now, again, Ray, I wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know you're not feeling well, and I really appreciate you, bearing through it and coming and hanging with us here, man. We really appreciate it.
I've had a great time, and I would be a lot more fun if I didn't have such a big headache.
Well, I feel you, Ray.
Yeah, and I'm running on minimal sleep myself, and poor Buffy here, she's dealing with her lupus, and but you know what?
We're a mess.
It's all about the fans out there. It's all about the listeners. This is why we do it. Like I said, I'm on my 8th day of working 12 hours, and I come home and do this, and this is what I love to do. And it's all about you guys out there. If it wasn't for the listeners out there, we wouldn't have a show.
And it's about you too, Ray.
It's very much about you too, Ray. We really appreciate what you do.
I really appreciate you having me on here. I enjoyed myself.
I love you, Ray. No doubt about it.
Buffy, you were one of my earliest friends on, I think, both Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook, I'm not a Twitterer.
Oh, you're not on Twitter. Okay.
No, but yeah.
Facebook.
That's true.
Now, again, whenever you get ready to drop your next book,
I will let you know.
Let us know. I'd love to bring you back, and we'll talk about it. And you're part of the Brutal family now.
Well, I really had a lot of fun, and I appreciate you having me on here, and I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving next week.
And same to you, man. We really appreciate it. And go take care of that headache, bro.
I'm gonna go lie down in a dark room.
Ray, just one last thing. I'm gonna get a hold of you in the near future, and we'll put up your Amazon link on our site and promote you through there.
Great.
So
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You guys take care, and let's do it again.
Okay.
We will, man. And you have yourself a good evening and a happy Thanksgiving to you too.
And feel better.
Thanks.
Yeah, get better
Thank you.
soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, folks out there. You were listening to the Bullshit with Bob show right here with Ray Garden live, man. And again, you know, I really appreciate you guys coming in there, listening and interacting. Without you listeners, I mean, honestly, we couldn't do this. And
We wouldn't have no fun either.
it wouldn't. Well, we just couldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be talking to ourselves,
Yeah.
and we love talking to you guys and sharing music, sharing authors, and whoever else wants to come on the show. Now stick around. I'm about to throw up. I don't know if you guys like metal, but we are a metal radio station. We threw up some classic rock tonight for. In fact, I might just go ahead and play some more classic rock if you guys are into it.
Since it's Ray's night.
This is Ray's night. We'll go ahead. I've got a whole bunch of stuff already thrown up on that, so we'll finish out the night with some classic rock. And
Put on my rock out list.
well, I was going to put up what I already have.
Okay.
Now that I know where it's located at. And man, Ray is such a nice guy, isn't he?
Yes.
I mean,
Well, he's been a friend of mine for a while. I love him to pieces, and he knows it.
this has truly been one of my favorite interviews. I've interviewed some of metal's biggest stars. I've interviewed some of. I really like dealing with the indies, the underground guys, because you know, they don't get much exposure.
And this is our second author.
Yes, this is also our second author. The first one I did was a man named Michael Toney out of Las Vegas. And he wrote a book called Tales from the Stage Volume 1. And if you're into metal and rock, he interviewed quite a few rock stars.
From Kiss.
Well, yeah, Bruce Kulick, Chris Holmes from Wasp,
Numerous.
Betty Bitch from the band Bitch, and talked about how business was, what it was like back then, what they're doing now, and it's a great read. If you get a chance, check that book out as well. But I've got the tunes back up, so we're going to throw on a little bit of Alice Cooper, some Dead Babies, so stick around and enjoy some music. We'll be here for a while. And I'll be back to talk to you in a few.